All right, good evening, my friends. The most important news of the day that's probably not being covered by Blue Anon is that Tulsi Gabbard is abandoning the Democratic Party. Because apparently it's under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers driven by cowardly wokeness who divide us by radicalizing every issue and stoke anti-white racism actively to undermine our God-given freedom. So here's the clip of that went a little viral, 6
I
million
can no
views.
longer remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers who are driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism, who actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution, who are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, who demonize the police but protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, who believe in open borders, who weaponize the national security state to go after their political opponents, and above all, who are dragging us ever closer to nuclear war. Now, I believe in a government that's of the people, by the people, and for the people. Unfortunately, today's Democratic Party does not. Instead, it stands for a government that is of, by, and for the powerful elite. Now, I'm calling on my fellow common sense, independent-minded Democrats to join me in leaving the Democratic Party. If you can no longer stomach the direction that the so-called woke Democratic Party ideologues are taking our country, then I invite you to join me.
I hope that many follow, but again, I highly doubt it. Liberals are incapable of self reflecting and possibly realizing that they were wrong. Again, it's okay to admit you're wrong. Hell, Brandon Straka built an entire fucking YouTube or a Twitter following based on the Walkaway movement, which this is seriously a very good choice for Tulsi. But just a reminder, she did not declare herself Republican. Some things about her that you probably may or may not know is she's a member of the World Economic Forum Young Global Leaders. That's not good. I believe she's also been on the Council of Foreign Relations. So if she could explain that, maybe denounce the World Economic Forum, that would be great. But Hillary Clinton accused her of being a Russian asset when she was running for president, and she got 2 electors in the 2020 election. Not a lot of people remember that. But anyway, she was a Russian asset for referring to Tulsi Gabbard's praise of Vladimir Putin ending the U.S. directed coup that was going on in Syria. Yeah, fucking Obama was doing that too. And while the Democrats spent a shitload of money in Ukraine, she condemned Biden for exploiting the war to strengthen NATO and feeding the military industrial complex. So some surmise she is positioning herself for a VP seat on the DeSantis ticket in 2024, maybe 2028, we shall see. She's always been a thorn in the side of the establishment, my friends. So the most important news of the day, let's see if CNN is covering it. Why, yes, they are. Maybe they have turned the corner a little bit. It is above the fold still, but just a little line out of it. Before, it was like up here, front and center. And how many times is Trump mentioned on these? This is going to be interesting. Let's see, 4 on CNN. And next is Reuters. Trump, 2, spoiler alert. Tulsi, 0. And MSNBC, spoiler alert again, Tulsi, 0. This is funny. Trump, 14. Let's see what these 14 headlines are. Trump's Everybody Does It defense is getting weirder by the day. Oh, this is very important. Top left, above right, draws your eye. Los Angeles scandal shows what happens when Latinos embrace white supremacy. Oh my lord, that's an actual headline on MSNBC. 5 years ago, if you had told me that would have been on the Babylon Bee, I would have fall for that hook, line, and sinker. Trump's Supreme Court gambit. Georgia Trump probes new witness. What else we got here? Carrie Lake. Okay, they're bashing Carrie Lake and Trump, and they're bashing J.D. Vance and Trump. Even though if you watch the J.D. Vance Tim Ryan debate, J.D. Vance fucking pile drove his ass into the ground. So Trump lawyer, Trump lawsuit, Trump. Okay, get the fuck out and the Washington Post. The Gray Lady. It just refreshed, so we get a nice fresh view. Trump 7 times. Tulsi Gabbard. Whoops, spell it right. Not one. Nary a one. So, we shall see, but this is... Whoops. You were scrolling down too far. So this is the Federalist. These 8 reasons are why Tulsi Gabbard left the Democrat Party. They're perfect for explaining to your common sense Democrat voting friends and family why their party has left them behind. There are very few common sense Democrats these days, I believe. And again, Tulsi Gabbard's not going to go get a fucking lifted truck and put the double Trump flags behind it, okay? She's probably going to adopt the way a Democrat used to be 15 years ago. So, here are the things she stands for. A war, she's against the war on the rule of law. Okay, so she grilled Democrats for demonizing and defunding the police, especially during the summer of 2020, while enacting laws that favor criminals' rights over everyday Americans. One of those that really chaps my hide is zero bail. Yes, I know, black people get arrested for crimes a little bit more often than white people. But here's a little insight on common sense and human behavior. If you're wondering why zero bail is a bad idea, a lot of people are really, really horrible people that only obey the law because they are afraid of punishment. When you take away the punishment, all of a sudden it becomes open fucking season, wild, wild west. So, okay, the FBI raided a pro-life activist. That was lovely. And if they are convicted, 7 of the 11 pro-lifers charged with face 11 years in prison and fines up to $250,000. When the party in power does not believe in the rule of law and they're responsible for writing and enforcing laws, democracy is doomed. Also, the open border is a direct violation of federal law. And the war on free speech, that goes into the government colluding with big tech to both suppress critical stories like the Hunter Biden laptop, as well as to silence people like Alex Berenson for being correct about COVID, quote, misinformation. Okay, the war on faith, again, that's not really my concern, since I'm kind of agnostic towards religion. I'm just a generic Christian, I guess you would say. And this talks about Amy Coney Barrett should be disqualified from approval because she is Catholic. I don't know why. I wish I could talk to all Catholics and explain to them why the Catholic Church is one of the most corrupt organizations in the history of mankind. Dare I say it's more corrupt than FIFA. And that's saying something. Because there's Article 6 of the Constitution, which says no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. And a war on the Second Amendment. This is a very dodgy claim there, Federalist. So, Bobby Beta O'Dork, who said in a presidential debate, hell yeah, we're going to take your AR-15 and AK-47. Well, she's also on board with that. So again, this is an eye chart. So Tulsi Gabbard, quote, supports our Second Amendment rights, but this is what she believed during the presidential run, my friends. Okay, all individuals should be from buying a firearm are listed on the National Instant Criminal Background Check System. I believe they should be, but gun show loophole, that doesn't exist. Keeping guns from high-risk individuals, aka red flag laws, I am totally against that. And support assault firearms elimination and reduction, a tax credit for surrendering to authorities certain, quote, assault weapons. Hey, look, bitch, define assault weapon, and then we can begin to discuss this. Until then, get the fuck out of here. The AR-15 is not what they would consider an assault, what I would consider an assault weapon. It's not select fire unless you illegally modify it. So get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Anyway, civil liberties. Democrats' shameless war on civil liberties in general. Democrat support of Beijing Biden's proposal to allow IRS agents to monitor Americans' banking details for transactions of $600 or more, which would be my fucking power bill now, by the way. And Democrats' inaction when the FBI seized and withheld property from innocent American citizens. So the Democrats always choose to side with the security state instead of siding with our liberty and our freedom. Okay, the Patriot Act, which is not very patriotic, actually. She was introduced legislation to repeal that. Yeah, scale back the FISA court, which, totally needs that, which was famously manipulated by the FBI agents so they could obtain secret warrants to illegally spy on the Trump campaign as part of the now debunked Russian collusion hoax. You would be so shocked how many people still fucking believe that shit. It's amazing. Plus, also, these blue anon idiots believe in the Jussie Smollett bullshit story, too. So, war on racial harmony. Okay. They've reduced each of us as God's children, to the color of our skin using identity politics to tear us apart. And they promote critical race theory in schools and the brazenly prejudiced action of Democrat leaders like Lori Lightfoot, who refuse to be interviewed by white people. And leftist racism thrives on college campuses. I would not do well in college these days. Schools have racially segregated convocations, housing, and study spaces. Who thought 20 years ago this would be a thing? I certainly didn't. Gabbard adds that this behavior is being informed and encouraged by the likes of racial profiteers like Robin DiAngelo and the corrupt self-identifying cultural Marxists who lead Black Lives Matter, who have not really... The only Black lives they've helped are their own. And they've gotten fabulously wealthy. People in, let's just take a random city in St. Louis. Hell, just St. Louis City. How many dollars has Black Lives Matter sunk into the city of St. Louis? 0. Okay, that's what I thought. How about Chicago? 0. Oh, yeah. Democrats have become the racists they claim to hate. They all are. Secretly, when people aren't around, or when the others aren't around. So, of course, the war on women, the lefties can't even define woman anymore. Women no longer exist as a category. The radical transgender agenda, which is just a fad, I might add, distorts our cultural understanding of femininity, destroys female sports, and puts real women at serious risk. Yes, even in my 40s, I am old, broken down, and in my 40s. And give me 2 months of training, and I would be the best women's volleyball player in the history of the sport. Okay. Democrats are rejecting objective truth and reality that women exist, and they're not just a construct in someone's mind. They're demanding that we replace words like mother with birthing person. That's rather dehumanizing. And she also drew attention to this disruption the left's anti-woman agenda has had on women's sports. Okay, they're taking away opportunities and futures from girls in sports by allowing transgender athletes, which I'm 100% against dudes pretending to be female competing in women's sports. Another serious consequence of denying the biological component of being a female is the spaces once reserved for women, such as domestic abuse shelters. That's scary. And women's homeless shelters, which are being invaded by men. Female prisoners are often issued birth control and condoms because they're imprisoned with male inmates. Jesus Christ. How did it get this awful? I didn't know about some of this stuff either, by the way. So, lastly, Gabbard discussed the Democrats' pernicious goal to strip away the rights of parents to raise their kids. Last year, Democrat and former Governor Terry McAuliffe said that parents should have no role in their child's education. A bizarre sentiment that's even more concerning given the public schools have become re-education machines for the left. Public school districts are implementing policies that sexualize kids as young as 5 or 6 years old. Taxpayer dollars being used to bring in drag strippers and encourage gender transition surgeries in minors, all to be kept secret from their parents. Okay, our Assistant Secretary for Health is a dude pretending to be a woman. Has gone on the record to support what is falsely termed gender-affirming care for children. which includes dangerous puberty blockers, chemical castration, and irreversible surgeries that cause long-term harm to kids. Which reminds me, I saw this earlier and it infuriated me. There's some doctor bitch who is in Miami who is basically she's pretty and blonde and she has a nice body. I know I objectify women, sorry. And she's on fucking TikTok proselytizing to fucking kids to get fucking top surgeries. She does chop surgeries for a fucking living, and she's making a goddamn killing at it. So, my God, what has happened if parents do not comply? Oh, they do the long-term harms to kids. If parents do not comply, the federal government threatens to bring in CPS to take your kids away. Families are the foundation of civilization in our society, and today's Democrat Party policies are quickly eroding that foundation to the detriment of all. This is all by design, by the way, folks, to bring in cultural Marxism. People will be begging for it soon. But no, Americans are smarter than this. Normal people, are smarter than this. This is just all coastal elitists and big inner city elitists. This shit shouldn't be happening. Shouldn't be happening all over the place. Dear God, if it is, I am frightened for our future. So she ended her video calling on common sense, independent-minded Democrats to join her in leaving the Democratic Party. I hope it works, Tulsi, believe me. And just join us in the no-party affiliation camp. Because we don't give a fuck Republicans. They're a bunch of fucking warmongering cocksuckers, too. So if you can no longer stand the direction these so-called woke Democrat Party ideologues are taking the country, join me. Let's hope people do. Yeah, I agree. So we don't over the gun rights. So here's what she stood for during the election, aside from the gun. She's a full spectrum progressive. She's more conservative on social issues. Okay, that's the whole Syrian war. She supported Putin for ending the bullshit that was going on in the Syrian civil war. Okay, she has resisted calls to eradicate the Electoral College and the U.S. Senate filibuster. Good. But we reported the gun control measures. She was opposed charges against NSA leaker Snowden and Julian Assange, both of which should be freed. Julian Assange is being jailed or being persecuted for basically publishing documents of our government's corruption. Think about that. Okay, so on the economy, she supports the reinstatement of the Glass-Steagall Act, which is, I believe, that's separation of the loan business from the investment business of the big banks. And when Clinton repealed that, everything kind of got mishmashed together, and basically the rush to originate loans and then just basically dump them off on people was the reason why the 2008 financial crisis happened, and a bunch of really vague rehypothecation of items into investment products, which is just really bizarre when you think about it. But anyway, she supports raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. That is absolutely fucking awful. And she opposes Donald Trump's tax cuts, which have been good. I mean, Donald Trump's tax cuts meant I got, I think, $90 extra pay period. Okay, and criticize U.S. Department of Defense spending. I agree with that. And raising taxes on the wealthy. No, the wealthy pay too goddamn much in taxes already. She supports single-payer Medicare for all, which would be a complete disaster. See student loans for a roadmap on how awful that would be. Holy shit, this is going to be a long video. And she supports amnesty for dreamers. Fuck off, okay? But one thing I can get on board is her hardline opposition to U.S. intervention overseas. She opposes military engagements in the Middle East and supports bringing home troops from far-flung locales such as Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. She's been an unusually close ally of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad and consistently opposing the U.S. interventions in Syria. And she supported Barack Obama's nuclear deal with Iran. That's terrible. I don't know. Barack Obama's last nut punch, and she's been a critic of Trump's administration's more hawkish approach to the terrorist malacracy in Tehran. Critical of U.S. arms sales to Saudi Arabia. Okay. Abortion. She's in favor of a third trimester abortion, which is absolutely abhorrent. And we talked about her gun rights. So this is her whole video. If you want to watch it, it's 28 minutes long. Not that bad. Put a link in the description. But this is the first episode of her podcast, okay? She wants to make some grift off of YouTube. So here's her social blade. It says 16.1k subs today. I don't know if you're into YouTube theorizing. That's a lot of subs for a day, okay? And she got 16. It doesn't say how many views she has, but this is how many views she's gotten. She's got almost 130k views now. If I hit a refresh, hold please.
Aloha.
Okay, it was 129k roughly, and it's about 133k. So in the span of about 25 minutes, she got 3,000 views. Now that kind of translates to some decent money. So I mean, obviously she's loaded, but you know, for a commoner, and she gained 300 more subscribers. So again, that's probably part of the curious timing, because a lot of people are talking about this. The mainstream media does not. So, sorry, Tulsi, if some more mainstream media got on board, you might have 500,000 views by now. So we shall see. Anyway, that's it. Have I been YouTube friendly? I don't know. I think so. Anyway, that's it. That's all we're gonna do. Thanks for watching. If anyone made it this far, have a good day and have a good night, and God bless. And of course, pick up some non-perishable food.